Hello and welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited to be doing this. I don't know why I keep calling it a podcast. It's just that initially I had the idea of starting a podcast because I did not I did not have a phone back then. And so I used to record myself, post, and now that I got a phone, not the perfect phone, but let me tell you something. Let me just give you a story. Now I got a job around last year, and I was doing this job that I was being paid on commission. Well, it wasn't bad because it enabled me to get a phone, but not of the quality that I would have wanted. So I decided I will wait until I get money so that I can sell this one, then add on top of that so that I can get another phone. However, I've come to realize with that, I will never start. I will never start. If I keep on having that mindset that I need to have a perfect phone so that I can do a YouTube video, then I think I will never start. So I decided I will work with exactly what I have, and I'm really loving it, and I'm really loving it. So, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where we are trying to figure things out. This is where we are growing. This is where we are learning and relearning. And yeah, come and take this step with me. Come and take this work with me. I've been solo for quite a while, but I'm really glad. So how have you been? And it's not the surface leveled response, because I think when people ask us how are we always tend to have a response on our fingertips. And the response is, I am fine, I am doing great, I am well, I am amazing. But in all honesty, how are you doing? On my end, how am I doing? I'm trying to things out, but I'm not in the place that I would want to be. It's so funny because as I was seated here, I was thinking about myself, the kind of a person that I was some years ago. I was joyful, I was happy. But right now, actually, I feel quite enclosed. I don't feel excited or happy. I just feel like it's happening without um, anything life changing, or rather life has been happening to a point that I'm so used to certain levels of emotions that I don't know how to experience emotions that I've encountered before. For example, I don't feel excited, I don't feel joyful. I don't think the last time, I can't even recall the last time that I had an authentic laugh. And I'm just trying to figure it out. That's the place that I'm in right now. So, how have you been on your end? You can comment below. That's what I hear people saying. So, today I wanted to talk about adulthood unfiltered. Yes, I'm an adult. I'm in my mid 20s. I don't need binoculars to stare at 30s. I can see just a few steps and I'm a 30. I used to think to myself, oh God, when someone gets to that, they are quite old. They are quite old. By that I imagine to myself that I will be living in my own house. I will be having kids who will be going to kindergarten. But here I am, starting out life away from my folks and my family. Now, I started living by myself actually last year. One thing that I would say, and I think for a very long time I was ashamed to admit it, I had never lived on my own. I grew up in an environment where I was guarded, and I think my parents always wanted me to be at a very close range. And I think it worked out for them. So I was done with high school. I was really looking forward to going to a university that was going to be quite far from home, start life, start living by myself, enjoy life. But here I was. Now I'm joining a university that was 20 to 30 minutes away from where I used to live. And so, as you all know, African parents, Wairimu, it's commuting. And that's how I started my commuting journey. And I commuted for the 5 years that I was in the university. And so I never really had that privilege of living alone. So here I was in the process of job hunting. Wow. And now when I was job hunting, I wanted to find myself away from home. But in Ghana, an internship in the streets of Nairobi. What do I do? Commute. So I never got to live away from my parents, and I was really ashamed because it seemed as though I'd not really experienced life. And this is something that I used to tell even the people who would ask me, have you ever lived alone? And I would tell them, actually, for the first year of the university, I was living, or rather, I was renting in somewhere along, or rather in Juja. Yes, I studied in JQuat. And so that's the lie that I used to run away with. And this is the first time that I'm even talking about it boldly. I started living by myself when I was you guys will know my age. When I was 26, it's another year. Yes, at 26. So we relocated. No, I relocated and I moved away from home. Now, this is where it all begins. So after getting this job, it required me to get away from home. And so we packed things ready to start a journey in another city. But you ought to know, when I was doing an interview for this job that I have, it's actually in the banking sector. My parents were advising me. My parents were advising me, and when I went there for the interview, no, actually, let me not. I know I'm quick to share this story, but my parents were advising me, when they ask you where you want to be posted, say you want to be posted in Kiambu County. And so when I went for the interview, I was asked, where would you want to be posted? And they quickly said, anywhere, anywhere, baby. Anywhere, baby. I really want to have my own space. Actually, I felt I needed to have my own space. Even living by myself right now, it's one of the things that I really looked forward to. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't you give us a heads up? I would listen to people saying, actually, Akilia, you're so lucky you live with your parents. They're providing for you everything. When I was in campus, you know, as I'm adulting, as I started living by myself, I now understand and totally understand what they meant, but still I wouldn't want to go and start living again with my parents. No, it's amazing. It's everything at home. Actually, one of the things that I miss being at home, it's the compound. We have a very huge compound, and I love when I'm there, when I'm really by myself, when I'm meditating. It's just one of the things that I can say I really love. And also apart from that, the sun. I love basking in the sun. And those are some of the things that I really never have for myself. So today we'll talk about adulthood unfiltered. Now, how I was welcomed into living by myself. Now, I relocated this place last year towards the end, the last quarter of the year. And it was my dad had connection. He knew someone who knew someone who had been living here. And so we got a caretaker. And now this caretaker, we come, we see the house and we're okay with it. However, I was not okay, but at that certain point we didn't have that time to start the process of house hunting. Actually, house hunting has never been easy. It has never been easy. So we come up very early in the morning because we're supposed to report. Actually, this is where the problem was. I get a call, I think, around on Friday, and I'm told on Monday you should come and sign the contract. Then I didn't have a day there. Actually, I was told where I will be reporting. The midday, okay, let me leave that out. Let me leave that out. So we didn't have ample time to come here and start the process of house hunting. So that's it. We come, and very early in the morning, I remember we left home at around 4 a.m., traveled all the way to where I'm living so that I could be reporting at work at 8 a.m. And so we found ourselves in this county. I carried the things that I could to my room, which was going to host me, I think, for a period of 2 months, and it was going to be a nightmare. It was going to be hell on earth. It was actually hell on earth, and that's how I'm saying I was welcomed into living alone. It was not a very warm welcome. It was cold-hearted. And I remember thinking to myself, goodness, I know I prayed I want to live alone, but I think I really wanted it to be better than what I got to experience. That morning, we came and there was a nearby church and there was loud music. And that was the thing that my mom detected. But she tells me later she would ask the caretaker does that happen on a daily basis? Because we want to know it was on a Friday, but the caretaker assured her that there was a kesha that was ongoing, and so she shouldn't be worried. However, that was the last thing that I should have been worried, because I was going to start worrying about the other tenants, my neighbors, because of the loud music. Oh my goodness, it was hell on earth. So I leave my mom and I report to my working station. It was 5 minutes away. So you can imagine how conducive it was. You don't have any fear. You will not start worrying about what if I get late? What if today there is no matatu? So I left everything, and my mom prepared everything. My dad, they ensured that the sink was repaired. They ensured that the shower was okay. Actually, they left everything in order. When I got into my place, my bed was made. My mom had even gone ahead and cleaned my utensils because they were new, and so that was it. I should stop using so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. As I'm taking the staircase, there's very loud music. And one thing about me and loud music, we have never been friends. My sisters can assure you. And when I'm totally immersed in doing something and you start talking, you disrupt me. And this is the reason, even sometimes I find it quite hard when my supervisor is behind me and telling me what to do, I tend to make many mistakes. And when she's away from there, I can do the job seamlessly. And maybe she gets shocked. Why is this lady getting confused? Whenever I am there, but when I am away from her, she does everything seamlessly. It's because I don't love being interrupted. I don't love noise. I actually don't love noise. So as I take the staircase, I'm getting worried. My heart is beating and beating and beating. The loud music. Unasikia ile loud music ati ile unaweza tolerate ni ile ya do do do, those systems, those home theaters. We have a system at home, but no, we don't use it because I hate noise. I hate noise. Mimi hata ile ya radio, even the one for TV. And I know my family knows it. Huwa nawakazia. I can be in the room and I hear my mom scrolling through her phone and she has this loud music and I will tell her, Mom, husikizi na nyumba mzima, ni wewe unasikiza peke yako. My brother at the same time, actually even my dad, he knows I hate noise. So that is how I was welcomed. That entire night, I never slept. So I told myself to comfort myself. Maybe it happens only when we are approaching to the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I should be expecting that. But no one had told me it was going to be 24/7. When I leave work at around 5 and I get to the house, till 9, till 10, my neighbor comes and puts on her music. The other guy comes and puts on her music. The other guys, and so I was living with students. I know this story is getting longer, but that is how I was welcomed. This is my story to tell. This is how I was welcomed. It was very loud. So I got that was New Year's, and my family had assembled. Well, I had confided in to my family. The place is loud. The music is very loud and I'm quite unhappy. And my mom will tell me, we'll pray about it. Don't worry, let it not get to you. I remember when I told my sister, I asked my sister, no, because you've been renting, have you ever been in a space where it's very loud? And she told me, no, 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 no. Actually, it's restricted. Over the weekends, maybe on Saturday, but on weekdays, it's always quiet. And I'm telling her, when then why is my place? Why are they playing loud music? Now, that day I told the caretaker, please tell people to lower their volumes and everything. My dad called the caretaker and told him, my daughter is complaining that there's loud music, and the caretaker says he will take action. Actually, um, he tells me, you give me the numbers to the rooms that have loud music, then I will see what I can do. And I used to do that, but nothing happened. Now on New Year's Eve, my family had assembled. I couldn't travel because the following day I was supposed to be at work. Yes, this is corporate space. This is the private sector. You don't work in your own terms. And my family calls, and My neighbor had come from work at around 12. Now during the day, this is fast. And she put on the entire floor with music. And I cried and I wept. It affected me so bad that I had to lock myself in the bathroom. That's how bad it was. And now my sisters are like, oh, this is the first time that we are celebrating the festive season without Arimu. Let us give her a call. And they call me and they ask me, Arimu, are you okay? I say I'm okay because you ought to know when I saw that I couldn't tolerate the loud music, I left my place and I went somewhere in a cafe to sit and eat. Not that I was supposed to eat, but I needed something that was going to pull me away from the space that I was in. I was in. I'm avoiding to use so and now. Now my sisters were quite concerned. Are you okay? Are you okay? And when she asked me the fifth time, I burst into tears, and I said, I am not okay. The loud music. This is something that I told them. It was actually a prayer item for the family. Let us remember Yumo. She's dealing with so much, and she's living in a noisy household. Yes, I broke down, and that day I was told that my dad really prayed for me that I would find rest. That was going to be how I was ushered into 2025. I would cry, I would go into my room. At times, I never wanted to go into my room. I would go to church just to spend time there. I would actually go for the three services: English, Kiswahili, and Kikuyu, so that I would leave at around 3 because that meant that on Sundays it was going to be loud music. One thing about me, I can say age is catching up. Age is catching up. I don't have a sofa set. I have this chair that I'm sitting on, and I'm tired of bending forward. I really hope you guys will bear with me. So that is how I was ushered. The next 2 months to 3 months will be house hunting until I got an okay house because I kind of live in a very rural place. So before you get a decent house, other than the one I was living in, it takes a lot. I think you can guys see me without some spectacles. So moving out, that's how I was ushered into. But luckily, I got another space where I'm currently residing. Not a bad space, but not so perfect. Not so perfect. Now, adulthood unfiltered. I now have to fend for myself. I have now to take care of myself. I have to be liable as to how I dress. I am my own parent. And before I proceed to exactly what I want to talk about, I want to talk about how I I used to my mom would say, hey, that music is so loud, and I'm like, it's not loud. But now I realize that music was actually loud. Starting to live alone, I have to fend for myself. I have to be the one who knows exactly what I'm supposed to eat. Back in the days when I was living with my parents, it maybe my mom will tell me this is exactly what we would eat. I would actually call my mom and ask her tunapika nini jioni, or even at times ask my dad, what is it that you feel you want to eat today? And he says, nataka kukula hii na hii. Now I'm the one who has to take care of myself. I have now to know what I have to eat. I have to eat healthy. There's so many things that I never really used to do, especially when I started living by myself. Again, you ought to know that I really wanted freedom. And at home, we kind of eat, or rather, had drawn to traditional foods. And at times, I'm like, yo, they're boring. When I started living by myself, I realized that I had to change my relationship with food. I try to be eat healthy as much as I can, especially since the last 2 months when I got hospitalized because of stomach issues. By the way, mi sikuwa napika and I was eating so many spices, quite unhealthy. But yeah, we adjusted. Now I have to be my own parent. This is the freedom that I craved. Now I have to determine what I do with my own money. Actually, for the last, uh, maybe for the past 7 months, I never had a plan, a financial plan. I never had a budget. It's only recently that I am planning my finances. I need to save. I have to have an extra account where at least I save a certain percentage of it because What if something happens? It's not going to happen, but in the future, I have to, yeah, to have a scheme, not just a salary that I am using from my day-to-day activities. I feel as though I am losing track. Haitokei venye nilikuwa nataka itokee. And you know one thing, this video has to be uploaded. Now it's 20 minutes long. Kumbe I can talk. Kumbe I can talk. I hope I'm talking sense. I hope that I'm making sense. So this is adulthood. I've come to realize is that when your parents would tell me, or rather your parents would tell me, no, we don't have a budget for that. I'm thinking to myself, how can you not have a budget? How can you not have a budget? Now I realize it. I realize it. It's not that they were denying me, but hakukuwa na budget, or rather kulikuwa na pesa but hakukuwa na budget ya hiyo. Do you know there's something that I've really been desiring, but I've come to realize sina budget sahi, sina budget, sina budget. I know I desire everything at once. Right now, I desire a sofa set. Nimechoka kukaa kwa plastic. Nimechoka kukaa kwa plastic. Hii ni meza yangu ya plastic na hii ni kiti yangu ya plastic. Aki nimechoka. I miss sitting on a chair. For real though. Aki na base kukaa kwa kiti. When my parents would say you have enough, hey, especially when I would start living by myself, every day I had to go through the supermarket. Every day. Buy this, and so much food used to go to waste. Aki nilikuwa na waste. And I right now, please give me a hand of applause because I've been going to the supermarket only during the weekends. Actually, for 2 weeks. Sijakanyaga supermarket. And that really saves on money. Because whenever I go to the supermarket, maybe it's for the essentials, maybe it's those items that I can't buy at that kaduka, that shop that is outside my place of residence. Nowadays, actually the only thing that I get to buy is bread. I go to the market, I have shopped, at least I have adequate stock. When it comes to the essentials, the cooking oil, I ensure that I have adequate stock. Previously, I used to have adequate stock, but I would tell myself, let's go back to the supermarket and buy yogurt, let's buy juice. And I would go end up and buy junk. I would go and buy sausages, smokies. Yani nilikuwa natumia pesa vibaya. You have enough. Oh, morning routine. You have no idea how many times I will snooze the alarm. You have no idea how undisciplined I have become. I'm looking at my kitchen because it's next to me and it's such a mess. And there's nothing we can do about it. I really wanted to shift my morning routine. I told myself I'll be doing yoga, I will be doing meditation, but undisciplined. And why not for my job having a schedule? Aki mimi singekuwa naamka. Mm. Mm. You know, at home, and I feel I'm not embarrassed because this is the way that I've been. And now I am my own parent. Aki, at times I have to shout at myself. I cannot be gentle on myself because at times I think when you grow up in a household where gentleness it's not something that, or rather it's not a means of communication, and you realize your mother has to get you to do things, and gentleness is something that she realizes cannot work. She uses that mode of the harsh tone. Hey, now I'm that parent. I'm parenting myself. I know I'm parenting myself in terms of trying to actually not trying, finding myself, taking care of myself, knowing exactly what I should wear. Another thing when it comes to time, I thought my mom would overreact. Man, I remember there was this day she called me at 6 a.m. That's when I'm getting seated to start the date, and she tells me, I hope uko karibu kufika, and I'm thinking to myself, ati, eburudia, and I would get home at around 9, at around 10, but now again I have to be on my own parent in terms of security. But you cannot be outside at this time. You cannot be outside. I've talked about taking care of myself, fending myself, and how undisciplined I have become, not adhering to a certain routine. Yeah, that is adulthood unfiltered. Welcome to adulthood. Let me have a glass of, let me have water. You know this glass? Um, I had no intention of buying a glass. I have this planyo, hii planyo ya yogurt. Nilikuwa nakunywa yogurt naiosha, ila sasa nikibuy juice ndo nilikuwa natumia kukunyia. Not until one day I had women from my church saying that they are going to come and visit me. Actually, they did not end up coming. However, there was a pastoral ile ya PCA yenye wanazunguka nyumba wakiwaombea. So hiyo time niliomba viti za planyo, nyumba yangu ilikuwa imejaa viti za planyo. Hey guys, I need a chair. Lakini nahitaji kununua kiti. So I said, basi akaweza kuja aombe maji, nitampea na nini za yogurt pia wewe. And I bought a glass. Actually right now I wanted to exaggerate and say 4, but I have 3. Na hii ndo safi pekee. Hii ndo safi. Anyway, that is where we come to an end. I really wish that my wish is that I will get better in time. As I was recording this, I've realized that there is need to have a strategic plan before I start a podcast, because I'm all over the place. But then again, you ought to know that this is the way that we learn, and embarrassment is the cost of entry. Definitely, I would have really wanted it to be much better. And it's so funny because I was reading this book and it was talking about, especially in the creative journey. I don't have that. I hope it's this one. Oh yeah, okay, this is advancing through trial and error. You want to learn as many skills as possible following the direction that circumstances lead you, but only if they are related to your deepest interest. That's not where exactly I really wanted to, the active mode experimentation. It's very important for me to start here because it's only in the process of um, execution that I get to realize some of the areas that I'm really lacking. And one thing that you ought to know is that when you are learning a skill, there is the level that you really aim for, and at times it becomes very difficult, especially when through trial and error you realize you're still not yet there. Actually, for you to learn a skill till you become perfect at it, it's always say that it takes almost 10 years, almost 10 years. So I'm in that space where there is the level of content that I would want to produce, and the fact that I'm not yet there, it makes me feel frustrated because I would have really wanted to do this podcast in a very different angle. I would have wanted it to be interesting, but I realize this is the capacity that I have as of now. Even if this is the best that I can do. Um. Oh yeah. So um. One of the things that says 3 specific stages we must go through to acquire skills. The first one is cognitive. We first intellectualize the task, make mistakes, and ultimately devise new strategies to perform better. First of all, you have an idea, you think about it, then you start it, and you realize you're not yet perfect. And so you see that you can do better, just like I'm saying right now, I can do better. I could have been, or rather, I could have really been, you know, heavily involved in what I'm talking about it, because I've come to realize when I was giving even that cast story of me relocating and everything, my mind was all over the place, and it has not turned out exactly as I would have wanted to be. The second stage is when effort is still required to complete the task, but it's less mentally strenuous than it was. Some aspects of the task are beginning to come naturally, mistakes being made. Yes. Um, I realized that, especially when it comes to articulating myself, I am becoming much better. Before then, it was really worse. It was really worse. And this actually makes me build on on confidence. And the last one is autonomous. We go into autopilot, in some cases flow. We can release ourselves to conscious focus and let our programming take over. Sometimes between the second phase, we get in sort of a plateau. We do the task enough, but our expectation of how we should perform is still miles away from how we think it should be. Exactly. Let me repeat it. We do the task enough, but our expectation of how we should perform is still miles away from how we think it should be. It's called the creative gap. Kuna venye you keep on doing this thing that you are quite passionate about. However, how you envisioned it in your mind, it's not how it's actually, or rather, it's not how the outcome is. And at times you may get frustrated. And it's always say that it's in this season that many people give up. So what else do they say? It's gonna take a while. It's normal to take a while. You've gotta fight your way through. The difference between the people who persevere to see their work rise to their standard and the people who toss in the towel is not one of sheer unprecedented talent. It's just a matter of having the often uncomfortable commitment to keep going. Yes, I will keep on going. So yeah, that was exactly what I really want to talk about. And the fact that I've spoken for 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Maybe the next time I should do 40 and next time 50, but I believe it will be hutaki kufanya vitu ambavyo havina mwelekeo. So yeah, that is the end of the recording. Let me listen to it, but we have to post. Okay? We have to post. The fact that it was not pre-planned. And I feel good, especially when you do something that you've really wanted to do. And I really hope that my mic is working.